All right. Hmm. So, so it's kind of grounded in our chairs and you know, wherever you're at is completely fine. So whatever kind of chair, and feel the bones just kind of like settle right into the seat. Feel your feet planted, and also if you can, there's there's like a point where your feet kind of feel light, even if planted firmly in the ground. Your feet can feel heavy, but also light and free. And once you feel your feet light, yet grounded, give a little wiggle of your toes. And as you're wiggling your toes, use that wiggle to pull the breath from above you, pulling it down. As you pull it down to your toes, feel into your spine where you can relax a little bit more and really be comfortable just letting go of your weight, letting go of the weight of your body and letting your bones be the heavy ones, letting your bones be what's heavy, allowing your shoulders to settle, your back to settle, and feel how you don't have to do anything to your skeleton. You don't have to do anything to your bones. They'll just hold you. All you have to do is just kind of find the right angle, the right position, and then just let your bones just hold you. Hmm. And this breath, we're gonna imagine that the breath is being poured on top of you. And on the exhale, let out a big, like almost like a horse. Letting out a big exhale. And on this third one, allow the belly to completely fill with air and then completely empty of air. Pulling the belly button back, emptying, pulling the belly button back towards your spine. And you may have noticed that the more you pull your belly button back towards your spine on the exhale, the easier the inhale becomes. And so this meditation is really going to be a focus on the exhale and feeling that the inhale just naturally falls into you. There's nothing you have to do to get it. This is part of that trust that we're going to develop with ourselves and with the universe. That when we simply physically empty ourselves, pulling the belly button all the way back to the spine. That then when our body needs oxygen, it just naturally fills with air. And there's nothing we need to do to make that happen. And so as we're concentrating just on the inhale, or sorry, just on the exhale, and focusing on emptying, let's see what else we can empty. Can we empty our emotions? Can we empty our fears? Can we empty our fears, trusting that they'll come back? Can we empty our desires, trusting that they'll come back? Can we empty our emotional resentments and guilt and frustration and doubt? Can we empty them, knowing that they'll just come back and being okay with that? And now that we've felt that we can let go of fear and we've let go of desire and doubt and we know that it'll come back. So we don't have to hold on. We can just freely let it go, just like the breath. We don't cling on to a breath. We just simply let it go, knowing and trusting that it'll come back. And this is how we feel sustained. This is how we feel full. This is how we feel trust. And so we're going to just sit with what is. And in this next breath, try to let go of the desire to know or our feeling of I should know and feel into the mystery that is. Feel into the fact that you don't know exactly how the oxygen is circulating through your body or how the food's being digested or how your hair is growing or your nails are growing, but they just are. So feel into the fact that you don't know how the birds are flying around, you don't know how the cars are operating, you don't know how the house is staying upright. And just feel into the mystery and the wonder and the awesome magnificence that it just is at all. Feel into how beautifully perfect the whole system, from the tiny atom to the biggest explosion of a star in a galaxy, and everything in between is just perfectly doing what it does. And there's nothing you have to do to change it or to fix it or to create it, to make it happen. Simply feel into the mystery, feeling way past ourselves. Feel outside of yourself. Feel into the person next to you, even if they're 100 feet away. And the person next to them, feel into the next street, feel into the next home, feel into the buildings, the city, the state, the country. Just keep going bigger and bigger and feeling more and more. Feeling your heart expand wider and wider. Cageless expansion of loving awareness that you can wrap around the entire world. Ah, and as a closing meditation to take with us as we come out is see if you can feel both outside and expand your loving awareness and turn inward at the same time and feel into how your internal and the way that we treat ourselves on the micro level is how the whole world treats ourselves on the macro level. And find out if you can feel that much. Feel if you can feel all of it happening everywhere at once, all encompassing, ever bright, prior to all experience, and happening in every experience, moment to moment. Sense where your attention goes when you feel into that, and allow attention itself to be eaten by the heart. Allow the heart to devour your attention and let your heart outshine all experience. locate what is your heart now and in every moment. Duh. Let's take 3 more breaths. Allowing the belly to rise, and then allowing the belly button to go all the way back to the spine. And then allow yourself to take this level of comfort, this level of peace back into the world, into the moment with you. As you gently flutter your eyes open, just taking in little by little, nice and slow, being gentle on yourself. What was that?
That was really just so calming on my nervous system.
Hmm.
Um, I also like had some, well, at first just had some difficulty settling in. My daughter, Sophie, just presented her speech for vice presidency at school, so that's kind of been on my mind. But
Very
um,
cool.
yeah, so but overall, it was just really nice to just really just drop in and visualizing the breath and I think visualizing how, what was it you said? The me and the outside clearly
Yeah.
still have it outside
Yeah.
on the inside.
Yeah. The micro of like what we do to ourselves on the
Yeah,
micro scale is what the whole world does to itself on the macro scale.
yeah, yeah. And um, like some of it was not positive,
Hmm.
and then immediately my mind went to nature. It was um like a healing point, like a healing touch point for the world, and then like the world at large, and then me.
Hmm.
Um, and like being like encased like around it and of it at the same time. I don't know if that
Hmm.
makes any sense.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling both like in the world and not of the world.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it for me.
Hmm. How about
Mm.
you? How about you, Lena?
Me?
Yeah. Do you still like Lena, or do you still like using Lena?
Kind of, yeah. It's nice to be called by something different because I've never really tried to change my name much, except when I was a kid and I had a best friend and we were constantly like enacting these different sort of characters,
Hmm.
and that was sort of cool. But yeah, I have a weird thing about my name because I just have like this set image in my, I think it's really my emotional body, but like my sister saying my name, I've internalized her voice in a way. And when she says my name, sometimes she goes, Linda. So I have the da thing, but it's like it feels harsh when she says it. It doesn't feel like the da that you described, Dylan, when
Mm,
we
yeah.
da. It's
Mm.
like Linda. I have like screwed up negative voice. Anyway, so it's nice to not have the da and see what that's like when I'm
Gotcha.
being addressed. At least not to have that internal association with my sister, who's really mean, actually.
How was the meditation for you?
Yeah, well, it felt like there were moments of peace, and but then I tend to go off into like this dream. So it's not like I'm being present. It's like I relax and then I go into this like dream sort of state.
Kind of a disassociation a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I kind of don't care. So in a way, maybe that's good. But in another way, it's like I would really like to experience being present, you know.
Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah. And something there's something that happens a lot um with any kind of practice that can put us in a meditative state, whether it be meditation or hatha yoga, or it could be a sexual practice, or it could be like a entheogenic practice, like a plant medicine ceremony or something. Anything that has a potential to put us into a psychedelic state, it's very easy to enjoy that state of disassociation, that state of the mystical, and the state of like getting out of the body and not having to feel what the body goes through, because the body is sometimes just such a ridiculous machine. It's like it's always like urinating and digesting and cramping, and there's a burp or a gas bubble or like our armpits stink or something. There's always something going on with the body, right? And so to be able to get free from that for a few moments sometimes is really nice. And
Mm.
um and then it's also easy to get lost in it because it's easy to kind of like check out, like the way that we do when we watch TV. We're like not living our lives, we're living vicariously through the lives of other people. And so there's a disassociation that naturally happens, which is not necessarily bad. It's not like a bad thing to do that. It's just that it's a little bit like candy, where it's like, candy's fine. There's like pie is fine. I like pie. This thing this thing didn't build from kale. And so I like pie, but if I only ate pie, if I only watched TV and I didn't live my life, or I was like, you know, meditating 14 hours a day, which I do sometimes, but if I was meditating 14 hours a day and disassociating for 14 hours a day, that could really cause some like grounded lifestyle circumstances stuff problems, like I would eventually like urinate myself, and my bladder would just like give out. And so which I've seen at like meditation retreats. I've like been sitting next to people and their bowels just give out because they're in such a state of bliss that they don't really care anymore. And so, and that's, at the moment it's not really a problem for them until they come back, but it's like a problem for the people around them. And so there's something that that happens, right? Where it's like we can feel into that balance of that micro and that macro scale of our body, and our body is a planet, our body is a universe, and then like our universal our bodies that are like have universes inside them, you know, like we've all seen those documentaries where they put like a little camera inside of a human body
Mm.
and you get to like fly into the heart kind of thing, and you get to like see the pumping, and you get to see the lungs, the emboli or whatever they're called, like the lung sacs like fill up, and it's remarkable. It's like looks like you're under the ocean. And so that's where you get to see how it's like when we how we treat our bodies, you know, of kind of dumping toxins into it, and various forms of poisons into it. You sort of start to feel how we can do that on the macro scale of like dumping oil into the ocean, you know. But when we see it on a big scale of like wildfires or dumping oil spills, we think like, oh gosh, that's so horrible. But then we like drink like Coca-Cola or something and think nothing of it. And so, and this isn't like a Dr. Laura finger wagging kind of, sermon kind of thing. It's just something to notice. It's just it's just something to notice. And we see this in our sexual practice, like we see this in our like self sexual practices, where especially for men are tend to be very violent on themselves with their self pleasure practices. And it's because they tended to learn self pleasuring practice from pornography. And so it's like they're like quick to energy, quick to tension, and then and they go really fast. And so men tend to be really violent on themselves, and thus are very violent towards women, early on, especially like in their younger 20s. And so there's a lot of re-healing or re-identifying and recognizing and healing that often has to happen, um, in intimacy of like in relationships, especially when we get into like a partner relationship. We bring all of that stuff with us into relationship. And so for the man, if they're used to self-pleasuring in a very violent way, then they bring that violence into the intimacy. And she might bring a lot of fear and tension because she's kind of had a lot of violence put on her through intimacy. So then now you have two people that are coming together in a state of fear and violence. And so then you have these two universes, our bodies, these two ecosystems that are coming together and kind of clashing in a way that perpetuates violence and fear. And so when we do these meditations, we get an opportunity not to shame or guilt ourselves, but simply just to kind of notice what's going on. And so that way we can build up a noticing, an awareness of our yeses and our nos. And so if we meet a potential partner that we can tell has a lot of violence in them, um, we can we can sort of like start feeling into that, right? Or if we sense a partner that has a lot of fear into them, in them, and they're very guarded, then we can feel that from them, and then we can feel that into ourselves, and then we can start kind of establishing some yeses and nos, for the other person, almost on their behalf, of like, oh, I'm sensing that might look like a conversation that would look like, I'm sensing from you a little bit of like nervousness and fear around subject X. So, and because of that, I just want to be very gentle with that when we approach that conversation. Um, you know, how does that feel to you? And the other person might respond with like, oh my gosh, that feels so good. Right. And so that's why, that's for me, that's the fun of meditation, because you get to have that conversation with yourself. You get to have the conversation of like, I really want to go on a run today, and I haven't ran in a while. So how does a walk feel? And the body might respond with, yeah, a walk feels better. You know, yeah. Any feelings on that?
I've been thinking about that just like literally in the past week, or even especially the past few days,
Mm-hmm.
about the violence and the fear. And I I didn't even know that there was so much of it in me. Well, I know part of it was because I had been afraid to be in touch with my ex-boyfriend for like literally the last, gosh, I guess it's like 5 or 6 months. And it wasn't totally like this, oh, I just yearned to talk to him. Although I think a part of me did a little bit. But anyway, I had kind of a bit of a breakthrough, I guess, 3 or 4 days ago. And it wasn't just about him. Part of it was like, it is about him because I looked at this picture of him on Facebook and I thought, he's really cute. And it kind of made me miss him. And he was always funny and kind of fun to talk to. But also, I realized I have some fear. Maybe it didn't start with him about men, but when I thought about it, I realized, oh gosh, I didn't think I had that fear. And also, what was the other thing? Fear and what was the other
Like
thing?
nervousness or anxiety or just, you know,
Yeah,
anything that comes up. It could be excitement too. You know, it could be like, uh, for me, it might be like, I'm really excited to ride this roller coaster with my daughters. And I tend to throw up on roller coasters. Like not on the roller coaster, but afterwards.
sorry to laugh.
You know, it's totally okay. It's funny. And I laugh at myself every time it happens. Um, and it's it is so funny actually, because you know, like I feel perfectly comfortable like rappelling off bridges and buildings and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, it's like the gyro, like the movement, it's like gives me car sickness. And so it also could be excitement, and it could be like an extreme, not extreme, but like another example of this that's similar to a roller coaster could be like, you know, for your with your ex-boyfriend, it could be like, oh, he's really cute. I miss him. And he, maybe like maybe he's calling you because he like wants to be intimate with you, and you're like, oh, I'm excited to be intimate with him. And when we're intimate, this happens. So
Mhm.
so you're like you're feeling into that part of you that's like, I'm excited about this, and I also know what comes with after the excitement.
Oh, I totally relate to that with like past partners.
Yeah.
It's like when I was going through my divorce or my separation with my ex-husband, it was very much because we were still so, we were enmeshed. And then, so there were so many parts that like was like despised.
Hmm.
Well, at least that's for my, I can only speak for myself. Like had contempt, but then also was like, oh, I really like this love. And like, even though I know it's not good
Hmm.
because he did X, Y, and Z and is doing A, B, and C all
Hmm.
at the same time, my ex-husband had an affair on me. Just just so you're aware, Lena. And then And then it's like, but he's coming to me and he's like, oh, but I really need you.
Mm,
And then I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
mm.
And then this, physical intimacy happens. We have sex or whatever it is. We connect on a deeper level. And then I'm like feeling like, fuck, like, the fuck, Tiff? Like, come on, and then there's these feelings of anger for myself, for him, and then shame on me for being that way, or not being better than the situation, or being better, or whatever it is. So I don't know if that really added it to anything, but
No, it did. It did because and it's easy to feel like in a perfect world,
mm-hmm,
you would be like, oh, I'm feeling shame, and but then you'd be able to coach yourself through it of like, well, why should I feel shame? I had sex with the person that I love,
right.
and even though I'm angry at them, there's nothing wrong with having sex with a person I love. It's much better, like I like sex, I need sex. I so I chose to have sex with the person I love, which is a lot better than having sex with a stranger.
Mm-hmm,
And you could be like, yeah, in an ideal world, I would not have sex with him unless we were in a committed relationship. And
right.
so, however, I still need food. You still
Mm-hmm,
need to eat. You still need to be watered. You still need sunshine. And so,
yeah.
if that is the best case scenario for that day or week or month or whatever it is, then that's just where it's at. And so
Mm-hmm,
there's a gentleness there and a chance for improvement at the same time. But there's
mm-hmm,
um and I know the feeling of the first immediate reaction to be like shame, blame, and guilt.
mm-hmm,
And that's that's a pattern that then becomes the yes and no there, then become or the boundary that you set with yourself there is like, wait, where is this coming from? Like, whose voice is this?
mm-hmm,
Right? Like, is this my voice blaming and shaming and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
guilting me? Or is this
mm-hmm,
somebody else's?
totally.
And, is this my shame, blame, guilt, or is this somebody else's shame, blame, guilt that I'm carrying with me and that I can
Mm-hmm,
actually let go of?
mm-hmm,
Um, and, of course, and using the intelligent discrimination to, um, some people take that to the extreme, right? Of like, I'm aging myself here, but like the Paris Hiltons of the world, right?
you're not
Or,
old.
or like, well, I'm like, yeah, I mean, this will work for you guys, but like, if I say Paris Hilton to my daughters, they just give me like a blank
Oh.
stare, and, but like Paris Hilton is kind of like for me is like one of those archetypes of like, it's my body, I do what I want, I don't care, kind of like Cartman from South Park, right? And, and so, but, but that's not that's not really like, that's not coming from a place of confidence, that's just coming from a place of nihilism, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I don't think that either one of you are going to fall into that. So it's like, it's a sense of like, I don't think that you're going to go from this extreme to that extreme. I think
Mm-hmm,
much more likely you're going to go from like, I'm feeling shame, blame, and guilt to, wait, whose shame, blame, and guilt is that?
mm-hmm,
Oh, that's actually not mine. I don't feel guilty for having sex with somebody I love, and I didn't pick for him to have the affair, and you kind of keep creeping into the middle,
mm-hmm,
and you can kind of walk yourself down that path of like, well, I didn't make him have the affair. I didn't want him to have the affair. He did have it. I am angry, but I still love him and I still enjoy having sex with him. And so
mm-hmm,
I'm okay that I did that, you know?
mm-hmm,
Or
mm-hmm,
like, I'm okay I did that this time, but I think next time I want to make sure that have some kind of relationship roles or discussion before we
mm-hmm,
before we do that again. And I think that's really hard to have that talk with yourself when you're at the mercy of shame, blame, and guilt. And so I
mm-hmm,
think you first have to kind of move yourself into the middle of like, let's really examine what this is about before you can come up with a plan for yourself and to establish and to create an approach a healthier approach for next time.
Mhm.
How about you, Lena? Have you experienced that? Like maybe like repetitive behaviors coming up again and again?
Yeah, definitely. But what is nihilism?
Nihilism is basically like the belief in not having a belief system, like having and kind of having your belief system be that you don't believe in anything. And so it's like,
Hmm.
which is not, it kind of gets grouped in with anarchism, but that's not actually what anarchy is. Um, it's actually, anarchy is actually a system of like one person, one vote. It's actually like pure, anarchy actually means like pure democracy, basically lack of control, no gods, no leaders, no bosses. Nihilism is basically like a, do you ever see the Batman series with like Joker? Like Joker is a nihilist. Joker is like the archetype of a nihilist, of just like, let's burn it all down and see what happens, you know?
Oh,
Yeah. Or
Hey
like
guys,
Fight Club. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry to interrupt. I don't know if you got my text, Dylan, earlier, but I have to jump off the call early.
Oh, okay.
And I wish I could stay to hear your share, Lena, but
No worries.
I'm hoping we can connect again
yeah.
soon.
No
I
worries.
Yeah.
related to what you said, by the way. I wanted to mention that.
Oh, wonderful. Well, maybe we can have a chat